Good morning, Wayne Clarke. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Good to see you. Good to be with you.
Good, good to see you too, my friend. So tell us a bit about what you've been up to. Many people will know you from LinkedIn, a big provider of content on LinkedIn for World Class Manager. So tell us a little bit about what you've been up to recently.
I guess the main thing is our focus is building this world-class manager program as we've been doing around the world. And a big part of the focus for the last, I guess, year really has been the book. So the book launched last March, and we've been in the process of launching that in different places. So in the US, South Africa, and the Middle East. And then we were very honored that Jarir Bookstore, which are one of the biggest, actually they're the biggest book publisher across the Middle East, have bought the publishing rights and
Brilliant.
will publish the book in Arabic. So we're just gearing up for that launch in the next few months.
Amazing, amazing. So thanks for agreeing to do the interview. It's more of a conversation really than anything. And it's about really the interesting subject, I guess, of AI and exec coaching. And I think where we're at for most of us is we know AI is coming, right? And it's coming at us way quicker than most people, I think, appreciate. And I guess the big question really is, will AI ever replace exec coaching? What's your thoughts?
Yes, exec coaches are finished. If you're in the exec coaching game, get out now. Save yourself. Put your money in Bitcoin. No, I genuinely think if you'd have asked me this question maybe a year ago with the version that we had then of whatever it was, ChatGPT 3.5, I think I probably would have said, no, I think exec coaches are totally safe. With the version that I've interacted with recently, which is Chat 4.0 or 4.0, whatever it's called, is so unbelievable. And also not just the fact that you can interact with it in text, but you can interact with it in voice. And for any of you who've not tried it, give it a go. I think you have to have the premium account. I think it's like £20 a month or something. But it's so exceptional at having a conversation with this AI. And also try it with some quite complex questions that you've got around relationships at work, issues to do with the board, the sorts of things that as an exec you would want coaching on. And the really amazing thing about it is it's totally on demand. So I might have a particular issue that I want to talk to my exec coach about, and I've got to schedule some time with them. Whereas this is literally, an exec coach in your pocket. I can pick this thing up at will and get into any particular topic. So I think for many reasons and more at this point, and given that we're only at the beginning of this revolution with what's available with the technology, I really feel that for a certain generation of people, exec coaches probably wouldn't exist in their current form.
So it's interesting, and I definitely don't disagree in terms of almost like what you've described as what I call sort of first line support, right? So I get that. You go into a meeting, you can't get hold of your exec coach, you kind of, inevitably you haven't done the prep that you should have gone. It's a board meeting, and you want to ask some questions and you want to get your brain whirling, right? It's much easier to edit something than come up with the original content. So I think where AI is useful for all of us is it gives you some content to think about, even if the 3 or 4 questions that it provides are not really quite nuanced. It gets you to think about it. So it's the alleviation of a blank piece of paper, which is the dread of all of us, right? Which is, God, I can't think of that. So I get it from a sort of, almost like a first line support, right? But what about the actual nuances? Because a lot of exec coaching is about the relationship I build with you, as opposed to the clever questions that I'm going to ask you. A lot of it's about trust. Where do you think AI will get to with that?
Well, the more that it learns about you in the conversations, just like you would build up a relationship with any other human being, of course, with AI, you can do that. So even with the GPT technology available now, you can create your own sort of AI essentially as a hived off version. I mean, we're going through the process at the moment of uploading all the information we've got, based on our program, all the content, all the interactions, all the brochures, everything like that. And essentially, we're training the technology to understand the nuance of how we work. So it would work exactly the same ways that you would build up a relationship. And the more that you're open with any human coach, the more that individual understands you, and exactly the same way the technology would work. So, and I think the added bonus, of course, is the technology has access to. Take this, for example. Imagine I'm working with, let's say it's a listed company, it's a FTSE 100 company, and I'm a senior leader in that company, and that company's been around for, let's say, 50 years. You know, I can feed the AI 50 years worth of corporate reporting, so it becomes more intelligent and more has a deeper and richer overview of the company than probably any living human being could possibly have, because of the volume of information. You know, there's not many human beings who would have that type of recall to be able to access that type of content and then be able to intelligently serve up that information in a way that's valuable to me in a conversation with the leadership team, a coaching conversation with someone in my team, a sales call, a contract negotiation. I mean, you know, it would approach the organization in a way that no individual person, human being could possibly do, I think.
Yeah. And I guess where the argument will always be is that personal interaction, isn't it? The relationship building, the trust that I can build with an individual versus talking to a machine. Excuse me, albeit that a machine, obviously the machine learning is so much quicker. Where do you think that line will cross though? What, you know, from a kind of, I guess from a timeline, when do you think that will be? Because I personally, I'm not sure we're quite there. Do I think it's coming? 100%. Do I think that we will get to that crossover point? I don't see anything that I've seen so far. I just don't think the nuances are quite there yet. But I do think it's absolutely spot on from a hybrid point of view. I think you could definitely use AI as your first point, you know, something that we're developing within Nudge, which is first line point, just really quick questions on a workshop that I've just been on. I tried this and this didn't work. Absolutely, you can do it. But if it's, I tried this, but the response I got was that when we've used AI, it's not quite nuanced to give those kind of human elements to it.
Well, on your first point, last summer in New York, I went to a restaurant, it's a Japanese restaurant, and it was sort of a bit of a buzz about it in New York because it was designed specifically for people who didn't want any human-to-human interaction. So you go into a very small booth, you sit there, you order your food on the app, and the way that they've designed it is that your food is essentially served so that you don't have to see another human being. They just put the food through the thing. At the end of the interaction, you pay or you pay up front, and then that's it, you're done, you leave there. And it's designed for a population of people now who don't value the human interaction in that experience. Because a lot of people would say, actually, there's a restaurant eating experience in the service, and that's fine for some people, but another bunch of people don't want that. So you think as time moves on, you know, what would you value? Because time is always such the premium. And you think, well, for a population of people, I would imagine, I'm not saying that this isn't, I'm not trying to sound ageist here, but probably for older people that are used to that human interaction would value the more richness of a human-to-human interaction. And let's say, for argument's sake, you know, I'm 48 years old. It's probably around my age range upwards. So, you know, and then for people coming up younger that are more time focused, do value work-life balance much more and want to value their own time highly. I don't know if you saw the recent article in the, I can't remember which paper it was, but they were highlighting a number of younger people who were saying actually office work drinks should be paid for. That time after work, it's my time, and actually I'm not willing to engage with an organization like that. So, you know, time is super precious for everyone. So I think maybe there's a population of people who age out with the current wave of how we do, or the current mechanism of how we sort of have a coaching conversation. And then there's probably another generation that don't value that as much as an older generation would do, is what I would suspect. So you've probably got, 10, 20 years, I would say, tops in the current model.
Yeah. And one thing is for sure, I mean, this time last year, I think most people were kind of contemplating what the impact of AI was going to be, right? Yeah. And now here we are, all of us using AI pretty much on a daily basis in some format. And it's just whether or not the human nuance bit is gonna, how quickly can they get there. But already, that there are, there are futurists talking about talking about the ability to have AI bots which will be 4 times the human IQ. I mean, it's kind of mind blowing. And I think where a lot of people, including myself, about yourself, but including myself, where you kind of, AI is coming.
Yeah.
You sort of don't really want to engage with it, but you're going to have to engage with it, because if you don't, then you're going to be left behind. I'm a coach, and I'm like, no. I'm very dismissive of it. You never replace the ability for me to build a relationship with one of my clients and the trust and so on and so forth. But I think it all depends on the individual, and I do think it all depends on why you want to have that coaching. What do you want the coaching for? And I think, to your point, I think that first line initial, give me some, I think you gave, we talked about it a few weeks ago, and I think you gave me an example of using it for a meeting, and it giving you 3 or 4 options immediately, which, would you have thought of them? Well, probably, but within time. And I think that's the thing. It's condensing, it's saving people's time, isn't it? That's the point. Yeah.
And also, one of the prerequisites, in a way, like in modern knowledge work, is the increasing value that companies are putting on critical thinking. Your ability to think and, in a way, interact with the technology becomes a hyper important superpower, I think, for many people. So it's just like, if you rewind back to when you were a kid, like the first thing that you did when you got the dictionary, look at the swear words. First thing I did anyway. Look up the swear words. You've got access to this unbelievable compendium of human knowledge, 100,000 words. And the first thing you do is look for some smart, but the thing is, and, you can give 10 people access to all of the knowledge that exists. One person's going to use that in a much more, sophisticated and evolved way than everyone else. And this is the thing, the technology is the technology, and it's going to be a pretty level playing field in terms of the tech is concerned. The skill becomes of how you interact with it, and which is going to, how do you, and someone described AI tools, and I love the terminology, as power tools. It's like, if you're a carpenter and I'm not, and you've got access to these amazing carpentry tools, what you're going to produce is a million times better than I am, because it's something that benefits an already innate skill that you've got and developed. So I think our ability to interact with the tech becomes, actually, as people call it, prompt engineering is a new thing, right? It's a huge new job market, being a prompt engineer.
Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of, rounding this out, the summary really is AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and anyone not kind of facing into that is going to get left behind. There definitely is. Nobody really knows, nobody really knows, Wayne, what is going to happen with AI and the ability to be able to use it for something which is humanly nuanced as exec coaching. But one thing is for sure, is it probably will get there. I think that's really where we're at. It's just when. It's not if. It's when. And then there's a whole bit around ethics as well, isn't there? Ethical considerations and people data, and the trust in providing that data. Where does that data go? What's it used for? There's a whole ethical consideration as well, isn't there?
Well, I'll give you I'll anonymize the company, because it's not fair to share who they are, but they've got 300, they're in the northeast of England. They've got 300 people, and I met with the CEO and the leadership team a little while ago, and they've explained to me they've already bought the technology, which is going to reduce that headcount from 300 to, he estimates, 27 people.
Wow.
And I said, okay. And I said, what happens to the other, do the maths, 200 and what is that, 67 people? What happens to those people in the organization? And he said, well, we don't know. So this is an area, it's quite rural. They're the biggest employer in that area. are these people going to become the 270 odd people? Are they going to become economic migrants and try their chances in another part of the country?
Right.
No. Actually, one of the fascinating things, if you look at the genealogy of, the English going back in time, we've got a very low ability to move or desire
Right.
to move. So most parts of the country, people have been there for a long time. It's not normal. Like go to the US, people regularly move around quite a lot. It's quite a normal thing. Not so much here. So, what happens to those 270? And I think this, again, it sort of begs another bunch of really interesting questions, isn't it? That actually, in theory, universal basic income, which is where our conversation went, kind of feels like one of the only options in a way, because what else is there? There's no other industry to employ these people. The fascinating thing was the motive of the owner of the company is to reduce costs, and he's going to reduce that cost significantly, which means the shareholders benefit. But now we've got 270 people, and what happens to those? And mainly men. We probably know if you play forward, there's going to be health issues, there's going to be drink issues, there's going to be all sorts of social challenges due to do with poverty and not having employment and so on. So, and the healthcare burden. It's a fascinating set of things to try and figure out. Unfortunately, the thing that spurs most of it on, of course, is the desire for short-term gain, which is, of course, the motive of the corporation.
And then just on that, I think this is really where we are seeing with our clients, and you probably are, obviously from that example, is where we're seeing AI is being implemented so much is so much more around efficiency gains. So efficiency gains in terms of the automation of what were really clunky processes. And it goes back to, if with all the HR world of outsourcing of HR and that bottom layer of HR administration, but it's also the whole outsourcing model of the of the noughties, really, which is what have you got which you can give your mess for less. Give us the rubbish and we'll do it more efficiently. But now it's not outsourcing to people, it's outsourcing to technology, machine learning. And that's the thing that we're seeing so much across organizations. It's like, how do I get another 10 or 20 or 30% efficiency into my organization, which ultimately goes straight to the bottom line? But of course, that means people. I mean, ultimately, let's just cut to the chase. It's not efficiency and it's people, because I'm replacing them with machines and machine learning, and I can replace them much quicker.
Much quicker. I don't know if you saw the recent story with with the new Amazon CEO, and I don't know how true this is. I don't know. It was a story that I read on LinkedIn, but according to this story, it said that they're trying to sort of thin out the management layer and actually return the span of control to around 1 to 15 to get back to what was called in the article the old Amazon way. Now, again, the fascinating misnomer, I'm sure you come across this a lot as we do in organizations. A lot of companies have a very rose-tinted view of what the past actually looked like, and it wasn't really that true at the time. So they want to get things back to the way they were. The classic sort of political campaign, back to basics. There was never any basics. The sort of make the country great again. At what point in its evolution was it great? Where was it great that everyone sat around and agreed this is great?
This is great.
It's never. It's a total lie, right? So, and it's not saying that people are going out of their way to lie, but they often think that things were much better than they were. It's like my grandfather used to talk about, during the war, and said, "Was it really that good? Like in London, rations and bombs? I don't know. Doesn't sound great to me."
I beg to differ. I prefer not rations and bombs. They're not a great it's not a combination I'm looking for.
I prefer a bit of Joe and the Juice and a little chill. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, brilliant. All right. Look, so thanks so much for, I know you're a really busy guy. So thanks so much for spending some time talking about it. It's a fascinating subject. I think that the bottom line is I don't think any of us really know where AI is going. But one thing is for sure, it's here to stay. And one thing is for sure, it's the advancements in the last 6 to 12 months are incredible and scary all at the same time. I think that's fair. So thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Oh, no, pleasure. Great to see you again.
Okay, cheers.